Let's go exploring! Starring Brandon Parker.
Oh, hello there. I was just studying Orion's Nebula, also known as Messier 42, M42, or NGC 1976. Did you know that Orion's Nebula is part of a much larger nebula called the Orion's Molecular Cloud Complex? How would you like to go on a trip with me? Here we are at the Orion's constellation. The Orion's Nebula can be found here. It's even visible from the naked eye. You could even see the nebulosity with a small telescope or binoculars. Let's take a closer look. Here we are at the Orion's Nebula, 1,500 light years from the Earth. It extends many light years in length. Well, this nebula, like all nebula, started as a gravitationally bound blob of cold hydrogen gas in a mix with traces of heavier elements. As you can see, it has many different colors. The red, that was caused from an H-alpha recombination line, radiation at a wavelength of 656.3 nanometers. And the blue-violet, well, that was caused by reflections of the massive O-class stars at the nebula's core. And the green, well, that's interesting. You see, the green baffled astronomers for the earlier part of the 20th century. They thought it was a new element, so they coined the term nebulum to help describe it. It wasn't until better understanding of atomic physics that they began to realize that the green spectra was actually caused by a low probability electron transition in a doubly ionized oxygen, a so-called forbidden zone. Now let's check out some stars.
Scooby-Doo-up-boo-bam!
Now the Orion Nebula is a good example of a stellar nursery, and observations have revealed about 700 stars in various stages of formation within the nebula. The brightest and the youngest of these stars, well, they're thought to be less than 300,000 years old, and the brightest may only be 10,000. Now over time, the ultraviolet light created from the massive stars in the center of the nebula will actually push the gas and dust away in a process called photoevaporation, and that's a lot of gas.
Come on!
Now, this will make these stars visible from Earth. Within about 100,000 years, most of the gas and dust will be ejected, and the remaining gas will form young open clusters of stars, such as the cluster trapezium, which is still forming in the nebula today. Well, you're probably asking yourself, why study the Orion Nebula? Well, the Orion Nebula has shown us a lot about how stars and planetary systems are formed by collapsing clouds of dust and gas. Astronomers have also directly observed such things as brown dwarfs, turbulent motions of gas, the photoionizing effects of massive nearby stars in the nebula, and protoplanetary systems, which are systems in the earliest stages of solar system formation. Now, the immense number found shows that the formation of the solar systems are fairly common in the universe. Now, to wrap this trip up, let's go ahead and take a trip around the nebula in a rocket ship.
Seriously?
Economy, dude.
Alright, now buckle up. This is gonna be a wild ride. Time for takeoff.
Using volume visualization, we can investigate the three-dimensional structure of the Orion Nebula. This nebula is an enormous cloud of dust and gas that is several light years across and 1,500 light years from Earth. Gas in the cloud glows from the light of 4 hot young stars at the heart of the nebula. Each star is thousands of times brighter than our sun. The center of the nebula is hollowed out by radiation from these central stars. We're passing a cloud called HST-10, known to astronomers from Hubble Space Telescope images. A disk of dust and debris orbits the star. Astronomers believe this marks the birth of a system of planets. Each of these teardrop-shaped clouds is a blanket of gas and dust that surrounds a newborn star. As we pull back and end our journey, we see the nebula from the viewpoint of Earth.
Well, alright, that concludes our trip around Orion's Nebula. I hope you had a good time. I know I sure did. Join us next time as we go discover Uranus. Goodbye, everybody. Well, here we are at Orion's Nebula, 1,500 light years from Earth. It extends many light years in length. What the f was that?
Yeah.